Hello and welcome to Granada Reports.
Hello there on the programme this evening.
Milking the audience for all they're worth, the Prime Minister pays a visit to the North West as the general election campaign gets into full swing. We'll be hearing from Rishi Sunak very soon.
Battleground Burnley, it's Labour's top target in the whole country, but a town where no political party can take the voters' verdict for granted.
I want to see a change, I want to see a difference, and I don't think we can get that one from the big groups anymore.
Shot and killed 7 years ago, Yusuf's mum says the wall of silence protecting her son's killers needs to be broken.
Another major milestone for Everton Football Club. It's deadline day for proposed new owners to prove themselves up to the task.
We'll be picking up a penguin or two at Chester Zoo, and a warning, they are very, very cute.
And as we step into the first day of meteorological summer tomorrow, it's mixed fortunes. It's not looking too bad. Bright spells, some clouds. There's just not a lot to hang your hat on. All the details coming up.
But first, you can tell when a general election campaign's really in full swing when the Prime Minister pays a visit.
Yes, we've been banging on about it since the election was called, but it certainly seems that the big names in Westminster are also waking up to the fact that the North West is possibly the key battleground for votes.
Rishi Sunak started his visit in Macclesfield, where he was talking to potential supporters and also bottle-feeding lambs at a farm.
And in the last few minutes, he's been in Bury, a town with two seats. In one, a Labour candidate who switched from the Conservatives, and in the other, the most marginal Conservative seat in the land, a majority of just 105.
And it's to Bury that we're going now, and our political correspondent Elaine Wilcox. Elaine, you managed to grab a quick word with Rishi Sunak.
Yes, that's right. It was quite a sunny reception for Rishi Sunak here at Burrs Country Park. He's been flashing the cash. He's bought over 40 ice creams. He also met Miss Manchester and had a photograph taken with her and said, "Don't tell his wife." There was lots of smiles with people, but also a handful of boos as he left just a couple of minutes ago. Welcome to Bury, Prime Minister. Sunny Bury. You've lost one MP in this area, another just down the road in Bolton because of what he says is your weak stance on Gaza. He's now telling people to vote Labour.
Look, there's a clear choice at this election, and I've been talking to people, not just here in Bury, but across the North West and across the country so far about that choice. And we are the only party that's got a clear plan, that's prepared to take bold action, as you can see on national service, the Triple Lock Plus, or indeed 100,000 new apprenticeships, so that we can deliver a secure future for everyone, not just in the North West, but across the country. And that's what I'm talking to people about.
You're saying bold action. It's 7 years since the Manchester Arena bombing. Figen Murray came to you hoping that you will back Martin's Law. It was a key recommendation of the multi-million-pound public inquiry. Why did you ignore that recommendation? And Hillsborough Law, another recommendation.
Yeah, I had great privilege of meeting Figen recently, and obviously I spoke to her last year.
She left heartbroken.
And what her family have been through has been unimaginable. And actually, I praised her courage in taking what has been a personal tragedy for them and then campaigning for positive change. I find that inspiring.
But you haven't backed the law that she walked to Downing Street to get.
Well,
despite pledging you would back it.
We have backed it, and actually we've backed it, we've developed the law, and it's already been out for formal consultation so that we can get the legislation exactly right. And what I said to Figen is that bill, that law would be introduced before summer recess, and the timing of the election means that that is exactly what we will be able to do if I'm re-elected, and the work has already been done, and I will immediately instruct the officials to prepare that legislation so we can introduce it, as I said, before the summer recess.
But she says she's now looking to a Labour government. She felt more confident with Sir Keir Starmer. She's apolitical, but simply because he spoke to her, which she felt with compassion and understood why this should happen. Will you commit that this will be law if you are elected, and back in government before the 8th anniversary?
I have already made the commitment to Figen and publicly that we do back the law and will bring it back before the summer recess. And I've been out and about talking to lots of people here about lots of issues. And actually the choice at this election is clear, because we do live in uncertain times, and in order to deliver a secure future for everyone, what we need is leadership that has a clear plan and is prepared to take bold
simple
action
steps to improve the security.
secure future. Yes, like increasing defence spending, which the Labour Party don't back, to secure our borders from illegal migration, which the Labour Party...
Risk assessments for venues, and it still hasn't been brought into law, despite the public inquiry, a major recommendation. Like Hillsborough's law, that was a recommendation. It could have prevented the blood scandal.
We are committed, and I told Figen that when I became Prime Minister, and the way that we make laws in this country is that you put them out for consultation to get thoughts from lots of people,
and so that
the law can then be done in a way that's effective. That's what happens with all laws, and that's what happens here.
Prime Minister, thank you. Are you looking forward to the ITV debate?
Yes, of course. I'm again looking forward to debating the issues that matter. I've put out my plan for the country, and this will be a chance for Keir Starmer to explain what his ideas are. What is his plan for the future? Because I think we're all looking forward to seeing what he has to say. I keep asking people, what are these ideas? No one can tell me, so hopefully on Tuesday night we'll get some answers for the first time.
So that was Rishi Sunak in Bury. Whatever happens there could be seismic for the election results.
And just over the border from Greater Manchester into Lancashire, the seat that's reported to be the top target for Labour in the whole country is Burnley.
The Conservatives won it from Labour 5 years ago, but they're defending a majority of only just over 1,300.
In the first of our constituency profiles for the 24 general election, our reporter Zoe Muldoon went to Burnley to test the pulse of public opinion.
Burnley Market has been a constant in the town for centuries. But with just under 5 weeks until voters head to the polls, people here are eyeing up a change.
Burnley is still the same. Nothing's changed apart from the MP. I think it should be a main concern for everybody. The NHS seems to be falling apart and nothing seems to be done about it.
Just outside the Granada cafe, Mohammed's grabbing some lunch before heading back to his job as an outreach worker. He wants the next MP for Burnley to address the cost of living crisis.
Born and raised in Burnley, but I don't just see it as, oh yeah, I want to see Burnley strive. I want to see the whole country go up.
Would you like to see more investment here, though?
In Burnley? Hell yeah.
I don't know if I can trust politicians at the moment.
Money is also a worry for Amari.
I've got disabilities. I'm trying to bring up my child in this economy, and it's hard, really hard.
So you're struggling?
Very much struggling. Very much struggling, to the point where this is a treat, a very, very rare treat for us. And I've had to save up for it.
Will you vote differently to how you voted last time?
More than likely. I think I might just go for one of the other smaller parties. Just because I want to see a change, I want to see a difference. And I don't think we can get that one from the big groups anymore.
A mile down the road, prayers have just finished at the Shah Jalal Mosque. Support for Gaza is a priority for Jaifor and Jabed this general election. But closer to home, they just want to be able to see a GP.
It's a lot of issues going on with the NHS, things like that. And the prices are so high and inflation as well. So we would like to see some changes on the 4th of July.
Pastor Mick Fleming runs charity Church on the Street. It provides food, advice and mental health support to anyone in Burnley who needs it.
1, 2, 3.
These women at a boxer-size class here aren't pulling any punches when it comes to what they want from politicians.
The government needs to wake up and see reality of what is people are living with day in, day out. Sending us to food banks isn't the answer. We need to be able to afford to live.
I'd like to see our next government bring much more funding to places like Church on the Street.
Mick Fleming says the gap between the rich and the poor is getting bigger. This pastor has little faith in any political party right now.
It's sad, politics have become the politics of finance now. They're not politics of the people, and it's almost heartbreaking.
Do you find it hard to trust politicians on all sides?
I don't trust the agenda. People who are voting for the basic human right, and in my lifetime I've never seen that before.
So which way will Burnley go? And while the Clarets look for a new manager, parties on all sides have it all to play for. But for anyone looking for votes this year, Burnley is a tough crowd.
Yes, and Zoe's in Burnley now at the John Spencer Textile Mill, a family business that's been going 150 years. Some great history there, Zoe. But people in Burnley very keen to talk about the present and the future too.
Yes, Chris, lots of different issues have come up when I've been chatting to people in Burnley. Things like the NHS, the situation in Gaza, and of course, the investment in the town centre. But one thing that was mentioned by everyone was the cost of living. People I've spoken to have told me that their main concern is putting food on the table and being able to pay the bills. Now, Burnley is a proud town that's been enjoying somewhat of an economic recovery over the recent years, but there are genuine areas of deprivation here, and that's where people are struggling the most. Household bills here, like everywhere else, have gone up, and people don't seem terribly optimistic about that changing anytime soon, regardless of who gets into number 10. So, any party political leaders planning a visit to Burnley, take note.
Zoe in Burnley, thank you.
And a full list of election candidates for Burnley and everywhere else will be available from June the 7th, which is the day everyone seeking to stand for election has to declare.
And something you'll hear a lot in the next few weeks. Don't forget, you need to be registered and have a valid form of photo ID if you want to vote.
And as Elaine said a few minutes ago to the Prime Minister, the first head-to-head debate between Rishi Sunak and the Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer takes place in Greater Manchester next Tuesday, June the 4th, and it's live on ITV.
And if there's a question you want asking, ITV would love to hear from you. Here is Julie Etchingham to tell us more.
On June the 4th, Rishi Sunak and Keir Starmer will face each other in their first head-to-head TV debate on ITV. They want to convince you they're the right person to lead the country. In an increasingly challenging world, what's their big plan? How should they tackle the big issues facing you? This is your chance to ask the questions. All you have to do is visit our website and follow the links. Don't miss the chance to have your say.
We move on to the rest of the day's news now. And the mother of a young man shot dead in Liverpool 7 years ago says the pain of losing her son is worse than ever.
Yusuf Sonko was shot once in the head on a street in Toxteth on the 2nd of June 2017.
His mother, Khadija, says the time has come for those who witnessed the shooting to break their silence. Our correspondent, Victoria Grimes, has more.
My heart broken. I am so angry. I am very, very, very angry. Angry and upset. 7 full years from day one. 7 full years. I am still fighting for the justice. Nobody quite got what to give me justice.
Khadija Sonko has cried every day since her son Yusuf was murdered in 2017. The 18-year-old was shot dead in the street close to where she still works. Despite a huge police investigation, no one has ever been charged. Now, she says, grief has turned to anger at those shielding those responsible.
You can't kill somebody's child and you're talking about snitch and grass. You can't do that. I just want to sit down and ask, facing the person, why do you have to kill my son? Why do you have to kill my son? Because that person have broke my family. That person have broke everything.
So far, 8 people have been arrested and remain under investigation. But police say now it's time for those who've stayed quiet to speak up.
We know that there are eyewitnesses that were stood here on that night. We know that those eyewitnesses have information, and we need those people to come forward now, do the right thing. We can protect people, and that doesn't mean people having to leave the communities. There are things that we can do. People of Merseyside have had enough of gun crime.
I'm begging them, please, can you give me justice? Who is going to brave and give me justice?
7 years of pain, but Khadija says she'll never give up fighting for the truth. Victoria Grimes, ITV News.
The family of a man and his 12-year-old son from Cheshire who died after going missing in Scotland have paid tribute to the pair. Tom Parry and his son Richie were due to return home on Wednesday after visiting Glen Nevis and Glencoe. Police say they died as a result of a fall. The wife of Mr Parry has described her husband as a caring and loving father and her son an energetic, loving boy.
A predatory sex offender from Stockport, described by police as depraved, has been convicted of a string of abhorrent offences against women. Nicholas Moxham's arrest was captured on police body camera. His crimes included 6 counts of rape, as well as controlling prostitution, slavery and sexual assault.
To the casual observer, he was an upstanding member of the community, homeowner, lived in a very normal suburban street, business owner, well-educated, eloquent, but when you scratch below that surface, it was a very different individual that you came across, someone who was narcissistic, controlling, very manipulative, and harboured some very deep-seated and disturbing sexual preferences.
Liverpool is preparing to host 150,000 Taylor Swift fans ahead of her sold-out shows at Anfield. For the next fortnight, the city centre will be transformed with 11 artworks inspired by the world's biggest pop star. Fans, known as Swifties, will be greeted by a trail of installations, including a piano covered with moss and 7-foot-high butterflies.
Next, the children in our region are being asked to become habitat heroes in a plan to see more green spaces in our schools.
Yes, if you think of all the schools in our region, this could really help the environment. In fact, school grounds across England alone cover an area more than twice the size of Manchester, so that could be a lot of exciting nature projects.
Our weather presenter Joe Blythe can tell us more.
Late May means warm sunshine and spring showers, ideal for going green. But whether it's a perfectly manicured flower bed or a dandelion battling through the concrete, everything has a place. That's what the children here at Grosvenor Road Primary School in Greater Manchester are learning. They are becoming habitat heroes. From looking under logs to gazing in the grass, they are busy recording every natural habitat in their school grounds. It's part of an England-wide plan to establish a network of green spaces across our schools, colleges and nurseries, creating one big national education nature park. What that means is every habitat they find being logged and then pinned to an online map, compiled by a team including the Natural History Museum and Royal Horticultural Society.
We'd like them to upload it so that we can see it on our national map, so that we can then celebrate, here are all the different places that we've got for worms or hedgehogs or birds all across the country, but then also gives us lots of ideas and schools lots of other ideas of what they might be able to do to make those places better for wildlife on their school site.
The scheme was only started in the autumn, but already more than 2,500 schools have signed up, giving a variety of habitats, covering around 1.1 million square metres, with hopes that just this taste of nature could grow into something bigger.
We're targeting schools and young people because they are the next generation, and we want to make sure that they're equipped for a future where there might be some more environmental or climatic challenges. We want to make sure they're equipped with the green skills for green careers in the future, but also have the resilience and confidence that they can make positive change for the environment going forward.
Back in the playground, the search goes on, leading the way for more young people to find a connection with nature and join the mission to turn grey spaces green.
Now, next week is the 80th anniversary of D-Day, June the 6th, 1944, so the largest seaborne invasion in history, and we'll be reporting live from Normandy with veterans from our region who landed on the beaches in France.
Here's a preview of what's to come.
This is it. They're on the beach, plunging waist deep into the sea.
There was about 130 of us in D-Day, and when the war finished, just 19 of us left.
All the bodies were in the water.
The dawn of June the 6th comes up like thunder over the invasion coast.
There were destroyers, and there were cruisers, and there were battleships, and aircraft carriers. I thank God many times.
I've had a wonderful life, and I wouldn't have changed it.
D-Day coverage to come next week. Now to football, and it's deadline day for the takeover of Everton Football Club. The club's owner, Farhad Moshiri, gave the American investment firm 777 Partners until today to complete their purchase.
But the takeover still hasn't been approved by the board of the Premier League. Claire Hannah can join us live from Goodison Park. Is this takeover dead in the water, Claire?
Well, it has been going on a long time, hasn't it? Let's just take you back to September last year. That's when, in what was heralded a new beginning for Everton, Farhad Moshiri agreed to sell his 94% stake in Everton to the American investment firm 777 Partners. Now, that was agreed back in September. But then in March this year, the Premier League stipulated some conditions that 777 would have to meet for that sale to go ahead. Now, those conditions included them passing an owners and directors test, which included them proving they had the money, which for Everton, which has debts and is in the middle of building a brand new stadium, that money is crucial. Now, in response to that, Farhad Moshiri extended his deadline to the end of May, and today it is the last dead day of May, and nothing from 777 Partners. So they've proved nothing as yet.
So, Claire, if, as we think, this takeover falls through, is anyone else interested in buying Everton?
Well, yeah, there are a few that have already been in the public domain. There's an American businessman called John Textor. He owns 45% of Crystal Palace. If he did invest in Everton, he'd have to sell that stake. And also, there's another American company called MSP Sports. Now, they have worked with McLaren Racing and also are involved with football clubs in Germany and Denmark. But, for the fans, this is rumbling on. And all the fans want to know is their club going to be OK? Earlier, I spoke to Dave Kelly, who is the chair of the Everton Fans Advisory Board.
I would hope that investors are there behind the scenes, and I would hope that they could move quite quickly, because I dread to think that we were waiting another 6 or 7 months to get a resolution. We need to start next season with a new owner in place and with a clear plan and a clear vision.
So that is all the fans want, and with next season being the last season Everton will be playing here at Goodison Park, the fans and the club will be hoping it is all sorted ahead of their big move to Bramley-Moore Dock.
Claire Hannah, thanks very much.
Absolutely. Well, staying with sport, and a huge weekend for Sale with the Sharks in semi-final action in Rugby Union's Premiership playoffs.
They travel to Bath tomorrow, hoping to keep alive their dreams of lifting a first league title since 2006. As David Chisnell reports, it's been a roller coaster of a season.
Robot breaks through. In this Jekyll and Hyde season for Sale, their push for the playoffs has come after a transformation in results.
But the first try is a biggie for the Sharks.
After a run of 6 straight defeats, they've now won 5 in a row in the league to book their place in the top 4 and seal a semi-final spot.
There's been no magic. I'd love to tell you there was. I suppose being in a do-or-die situation in the last maybe 5 or 6 games has narrowed our focus a little bit, that if we slip up once, that could be the end of our season for us, and I think that maybe has brought the little bit more out of us that we've been craving and needing to pick some good results up.
Will Sale travel to Bath for their playoff semi-final? Ironically, it was defeat away at the Wreck in March that proved to be the turning point of their season.
Players started calling their own players meetings, which can go one of 2 ways, like mutinous, I'm out of a job, or stratospheric in terms of the standards and the levels of training performance which lead to your playing performance. I'm happy to say it's gone the latter.
Yeah, I think they were panicking a bit, especially after the first one. I think we had one of the coaches asking the lads what was being said, but I think fair play. I think one of the lads told him to politely F off. We had some honest conversations, which were awkward. It wasn't easy, but the results show that probably may have worked.
Lifelong Sale fan Sam James is one of a raft of players leaving the club when the season ends.
One of the biggest roars of the season.
With the goodbyes on hold for now, there's more motivation than just silverware to reach the playoff final.
It's massive, not just for me, for my family, the owners, everyone at this club, all the fans. It's properly like a family here, so me personally, I want to do it for every single one of those.
Leading the way, Jason Robinson. Winning the club's first league title since 2006 would be a fitting farewell to all their departing players. And after finishing runners-up in last year's final, Sale are now just one win away from a return to Twickenham. David Chisnell, ITV News.
Now prepare yourself for some very cute pictures of 11 rare baby penguins who've hatched at Chester Zoo.
It's the most to be born in one go for more than a decade. Keepers say the chicks are flourishing, perhaps because they're all named after plants, with nettle, thistle and dandelion among the confirmed names.
In all the zoos across Europe, just to have any chicks hatch and to have 11, it's quite a lot. We're really pleased, and it goes a really long way towards our conservation efforts to make sure that the Humboldt penguins are safe and thriving, basically.
Now it's time for the weekend weather with Emma.
Have you burnt tea again?
I'm scraping the cooled oil into the bin, not the sink.
Can we eat outside? It's nice.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Hello there, very good evening to you. Hope you enjoyed your day, the last day of meteorological spring. And as we bound into the first weekend of summer, well, it's mixed fortunes, really. There's not a lot to hang your hat on. It's not terribly bad. It's certainly not a washout. It's just a mixture of variable amounts of cloud and bright spells. So let's take a closer look. There'll be a bit of a warming trend, as you can see from the colours here, over the next 24 to 48 hours. High pressure in charge from the west, but still some fronts affecting the east coast as they move around the top of that high. They won't really affect us at that point, but what will influence us also towards the back end of the weekend is this cloud ahead of this occlusion, which is going to push down from the north. But more on that in just a second. Let's rewind to the next few hours. And there should be some late sunshine on offer for a little bit longer this evening. And then we see that sky is clear. The wind eases down a bit. It has been pretty gusty across the Isle of Man and at the west coast today, but lighter winds overnight, and those temperatures hold up well, although it will be a bit chilly out in the countryside. So then we're into the start of the weekend. Toby heralds the sunrise at 4:46 tomorrow, and the sun sets at 9:32. Doesn't he look beautiful there? So first thing tomorrow, it's going to be a similar start to today, quite bright, but increasing amounts of cloud as the afternoon wears on. You might just squeeze a light shower out of that, but largely it's going to stay dry. I think the risk of showers, a greater risk further to the south there. Temperatures, well, a little bit down on today's values, so 17 or 18, that's 64 Fahrenheit, but also it's probably going to feel a bit better because of the lighter winds. However, still a bit lively across the Isle of Man and at the coast, 25-mile-an-hour gusts potentially. And then you can see this system hovers up to the north there, so a fine start to the day on Sunday, but clouding up as the day wears on. That front clears, so for Monday, not bad, but improving from the north later.
It's a little bit burnt.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Hello, summer. Piri sponsors ITV Pollen Count.
On then to the pollen report now. The grass pollen season is ramping up. Counts generally low over the next few days, rising to moderate in any brighter spells, and you probably notice it more the further south you are. That's it. Bye-bye.
Now, before we go, if the view behind us is looking even more radiant than usual, that's because we've had the window cleaners in. They've done a good job, but their timing wasn't the best.
They decided to get their wipers out just as Rebecca was about to go live with the headlines in Good Morning Britain. Clearly not camera shy. They did their best to provide an all-action backdrop to the morning news. Rebecca, too much of a pro, though, to be put off by a couple of squeegees.
We like to keep it clean on Granada Reports, don't we?
Always. I'll be back with the late news. Hope you can join me. But for now, goodbye.
Goodbye.